Hello once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela Box. You're watching Angela's Soapbox, where I say what you are thinking. Housekeeping. If you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and subscribe. I sounded like Hannity there. Just kidding. But I did kind of sound like him. One of his little verbal tics he does. Anyway, if you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Share my content with your fellow patriots and especially your leftist friends because they hate me. This week's Angela's Soapbox article is entitled, "Stop Me If You've Heard This One Before. A bunch of peaceful protesters burned down a city, ... And of course, it's talking about all the peaceful protests continuing to go on in Portland and Seattle and various other left-wing hellholes across America. Lots to get to today. I always make it a note to say I'd like to keep my videos under 10 minutes, and let's give it the old college try today. So thank you again for watching. Again, please subscribe, share, and all that other stuff. Now, without further ado, this week's sea turtle killing plastic straw is dedicated to, I gotta bring it back to Houston again. Y'all are doing the most. This is for Mayor Turner and Dora, the woke Hitler explorer, Lina Hildago. Why does the straw go to them? Oh, and secondarily it goes to Greg Abbott, our erstwhile Republican governor who has allowed this tyranny to happen. And why, you may ask, does the straw go to Sylvester Turner and Lina Hildago again? Well, I have many reasons, but the main one is that they're doubling down on their tyranny again with their masks ordinances. Now they're going to be fining people $250 if you're not wearing a precious piece of paper or a maxi pad or a diaper or a bandana over your face. And I think it's hilarious that they're making police officers do this. Now, keep in mind that these pieces of garbage, Sylvester Turner, Lina Hildago, are far left radicals. And so, unfortunately, so is Art Acevedo, the chief of police in Houston. He's a disaster. And I know many HPD officers who hate Acevedo, hate him. Anyway, so I just think it's real funny that the same people who are demonizing our police officers and calling them murderers and racist pigs are going to expect these same police officers to start writing out tickets of $250 a pop to people for not wearing a mask. And again, I say to Turner, Hildago, Fauci, Abbott, and any of these other mask Nazis, where are the studies that show that a piece of paper or a bandana or a towel or whatever you want to put over your face is going to stop a virus particle that is 0.1 micrograms in size? They don't exist because you know why? Masks don't work. And that's the bottom line. This is simply a power play for our government to see who's going to comply and who's not going to comply. And unfortunately, our Republican governor is having some really poor advice, and he's thrown in with the mask Nazis, and it's really unfortunate. My prediction is that Abbott will either get primaried or not run again in 2022. And if he does get primaried, I think he's going to lose because people are pissed, real pissed. Here, I like to come up with some ideas to vex leftists about, wearing your masks and everything. And last week I had a good one that said, I told a story about going to HEB and how the hall monitor stopped me and asked, "Oh, do you have your mask?" And I said, "Yes, but the New England Journal of Medicine says masks are ineffective, so I'm not doing it." So I've come up with a couple of more, and you can feel free to use them. If a Karen or a hall monitor stops you, you can say, "Oh, I'm self-identifying as an essential Democrat on my way to a Democrat's funeral, so I don't have to wear it." Or you can say, "I'm on my way to a Black Lives Matter protest, so I don't have to wear it." Or you can just say, "F off, I'm not wearing it." I go with the first ones, though, because they have no response to that. Because Muriel Bowser, the horrible leftist mayor of D.C., last week at the John Lewis funeral, I like to say the slain civil rights leader, but he wasn't slain. But it's so ubiquitous now when we hear civil rights leader and then they put slain in front of it. So even like my brain is programmed to say slain civil rights leader John Lewis, but no, he died of pancreatic cancer. But his funeral was last week, and I can't even say her name, Mayor Bowser, let's just say that, of Washington, D.C., said that all the Democrats that were there, eulogizing him, and Barack Obama, who got up and bashed Republicans, and all the other people who got up and bashed Republicans and used it as basically a Wellstone Memorial 2.0, all those people didn't have to quarantine or, self-isolate afterwards because they were essential Democrats. They were essential government personnel, and they had every right to be sitting smushed together on the pews, some wearing masks, some not wearing masks at John Lewis's funeral. So again, one rule for Democrats, another rule for the rest of us. To which I say, eat it. Let's see, what else? Oh, this is fun. A New York Times article was released this week, and I am loath to anytime report about what the New York Times says. But this one is interesting. Molly Hemingway had a tweet about it. And basically, the Democrats, led by John Podesta and other very prominent Democrats. Now, keep in mind, John Podesta is the same guy who's in his emails is saying he wants some pasta and pizza and hot dogs delivered for an hour. What does that mean exactly? I didn't make it up. You can look it up yourselves in his emails. Anyway, John Podesta is working with other Democrats to come up with scenarios because they know they're going to lose, and what's going to happen when they lose. Will Joe Biden concede? And they're saying, we're not going to be like Hillary Clinton did. We're not going to concede. Joe Biden is not going to concede. We're in fact going to fight it tooth and nail. And we're basically going to start a civil war over this. And there's a part of me, and they're talking about how California and Oregon will secede. And there's a part of me that's like, go. Just go. The normal part of Oregon can be taken over into Idaho, and there's been a movement in Oregon talking about carving out the state and half of it going to Idaho, the normal part of the state, and the coastal part of Oregon can be with California, whatever. They're crazy. But the left is hell-bent on starting a civil war. They're hell-bent on it. I mean, what's going on in Portland now has nothing to do with George Floyd or police brutality. Black Lives Matter is not a civil rights organization. They are a radical Marxist organization that are hell-bent on destroying this country. And just last weekend, we saw that they've ratcheted up their hate even more. In Portland, they were, in addition to burning American flags, because that's de rigueur at this point, they're now burning Bibles. That's right, Bibles. So the Christian and Jewish holy book, they are burning. Now, I want you to imagine, if you will, if a bunch of Korans were being burned. I wonder if the media would report on that. And not only would they report on that, but they, along with the filthy leftists and the Islamists, would be calling for all of these people to be killed. But notice that not one Christian is saying, off with their heads. No, because Christians are a very tolerant lot. I am a Christian, and I'm generally a live and let live type of person, and however you want to get to God is kind of your business, but for me it's through Jesus Christ. But I can tell you right now, there are no Christians calling for the murder of people who burn their holy books. However, there are Islamists every day around the world who do that. So, food for thought, leftists. I want to touch a little bit, and I'm looking at the time, and we actually might make it under 10 minutes. I'm so excited. The Ghislaine Maxwell depositions have continued to be dripped out, and they are explosive, and they are implicating a lot of very high-profile people, but probably none more profile than the pedophile in chief, Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton was on the flight manifest at least 26 times, and Virginia Giuffre, who was the main plaintiff in the defamation case, or the lawsuit, I should say, said, yeah, I've seen Bill Clinton there a couple times with very young girls. And the media does not want to touch this. But the thing about truth is that it's always going to surface. There's only so much propaganda that people will be able to stomach, and eventually the truth will win. So as it's coming out more and more of what good friends Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein were, in addition to all the other filthy Hollywood celebrities, and unfortunately even I would say Alan Dershowitz, yikes. Side note about Dershowitz, I like that he's an honest liberal, and that he saw the miscarriage of justice that happened against Trump over the last 4 years, and of course was one of his impeachment attorneys. But, it is what it is. I mean, he's all over that stuff too, it looks like, unfortunately. So we have to be honest about that. But there's a lot of people on those lists. Prince Andrew, Clinton, Hollywood celebrities on the manifest, like evidently Chrissy Teigen and Tom Hanks and lots of other random people. Ellen DeGeneres, Madonna. So weird, right? Like, why after this guy was convicted in 2009 of trafficking underage girls for prostitution, which was his plea deal in Florida, why are you still associating with him, George Stephanopoulos and other people? It's just so interesting, isn't it? But as I said, propaganda can only last so long, and the truth will always rise to the surface. So Brad Edwards, who is the plaintiff's attorney, who represents all of the Epstein victims, or I believe most of them, he has come out and said again, and he said this before, because again, they're always trying to tie Trump to anything. Trump was the guy, of course, he ran in the same circles as him. They were both New York people and they ran in the same circles. But the minute he found out that Epstein was basically, and Maxwell were trafficking underage girls at Mar-a-Lago, he kicked them out of his club. And no witness has ever said they've seen Epstein or Trump together, certainly not on the island. And, you know, just because Epstein says that Trump was his good friend, Trump was like, I wasn't his good friend. I kicked him out of my club. In fact, Brad Edwards, so back to Brad Edwards. Brad Edwards is the plaintiff's lawyer. And he has said on many occasions, and the media does not want to report this because they are filthy and compromised and disgusting, that Donald Trump was the only person who ever called him, because he sent out call requests to all these famous men. Bill Clinton, I don't know, whoever was on the list. Donald Trump was the only prominent man who ever called him back and gave him all the information he wanted. And it was basically like, what do you want to know? And Edwards actually said that a lot of the information that Trump gave him turned out to be very fruitful for his lawsuit. So no, Trump's not involved with Epstein. Nice try, filthy leftist. But I think what we're witnessing is the beginning of the perfect storm, where we have Pedogate, where we have the horrible insurrection that's going on around the country with these filthy Marxists and Black Lives Matter and Antifa leftists spurred on by the media and paid for by far left agitators like George Soros and others. And then we have the coming storm of what's going to happen when things continue to be declassified, and we see that Barack Obama, the first black president, was up to his big filthy floppy ears in all of Spygate and Obamagate. And so was Clinton, and so was Biden, and so was Susan Rice, and Victoria Newland, and I could go on and on. Bruce Ornelli or Chris Steele, obviously. Again, I could name 25 names, and that would take us to 15 minutes, but I'm going to end it on that note. The storm is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and not even the filthy media is going to be able to stop what's coming. Because remember, nothing can stop what is coming, and nothing can stop the truth. So guys, I'm going to kind of end it there. I want to implore you to not wear a mask. Take your mask off. There are no studies that prove they work. There are studies that prove hydroxychloroquine works. Get in their faces and tell them, I'm not doing this. This is propaganda, and I will not comply with propaganda. Propaganda with no basis in reality is not fact. It's propaganda. And that's all you have to say. Let them give you a fine. Let them write you up, whatever. Let them kick you out of the store. Say, peace, I'm never coming back here. So when I go to HEB later on today, I'm gonna whip out a few of my new lines about being an essential Democrat. And because I'm an essential Democrat on my way to a Democrat's funeral or a Black Lives Matter protest, I don't need to wear a mask. So remember, guys, it is your duty to get in their faces because they get into ours. And it's time to stop playing nice with them, because this is for all the marbles, people. This is for everything. And our country is at stake. Our way of life is at stake. And our values are at stake. And that doesn't mean, goody two-shoe, I'm a Puritan values. That means American values of equal justice under the law, secure borders, free market capitalism, Judeo-Christian values, treating people as you would want to be treated, and having a uniform system of rules for us all. Not one for Democrats and one for us serfs. A set of rules for us all. Equal justice under the law is so important, guys. And we are a good country. We're not a racist country. And don't let them lie to you and don't let them gaslight you into making you believe you're something you're not, because you're not. See y'all next week. I didn't make 10 minutes. I made it at 15. One of these days. See you next week.